Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us. You can learn more about America's natural resources at nma.org, the National Mining Association.
From the Watergate Building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Chuck Todd and John Mercurio.
All right, it's Hotline TV. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Chuck Todd. Today I pull out the ranking board to let John make a fool of himself again. I have 7 names, John, just 7. Do a little more Karnak, rich little Johnny Carson theme this week. James, I have 7 names, just a fraction of an increasingly crowded field. Let's rank some of the candidates in order that are most likely to finally decide they're not going to run versus the ones that will ultimately probably still want to try and run at some point. These are candidates that haven't announced.
Sure.
Nothing yet. We've all got them. They've, there's a, some have a committee or two, but they really haven't done a rollout yet. So,
all right.
You want to start with the bottom up. We're only going to pick 5. We have 7.
We're
only going to pick
7.
5. So eliminate your 2.
Here's a name that I personally have not heard of much in the past several weeks, and I'm just going to put him out there. I think George Pataki just does not run. He just doesn't run. He announces in a couple of weeks that he doesn't run. The money wasn't there.
Remember, number 1 is not running. The number 1 most likely.
Excuse me.
If you want to put him up top.
I'm putting him up top. I'm putting George Pataki right up there at up top.
That's a good call.
I ultimately also think Kerry decides not to run. I think the reason you're seeing him wait is not as much. He wasn't ramping up and expanding his staff because he was getting ready for a 2008 campaign. I think he was just getting ready, for a re-election campaign in the Senate. He's up again in 2008.
Rumors of Andy Card challenging him have had some nervousness in Kerry world.
I put him up there pretty high as well. Look, the Democratic field is packed. There are already, 7 or 8 if you include Mike Gravel in the race. And I think ultimately Kerry realizes that there is no place left for him in that field. Not a bad thing. It's just not a good idea to run a second time and
he'll be somebody's ambassador to Japan. That's what Walter Mondale became.
I think Mike Huckabee, ultimately, I'm going to put him here. I think ultimately he decides not to run, also looking at the field.
Interesting.
And I'm not 100% sure about that one because I do think that there's a lot of people out there who still want him to run. I think Gingrich, of course, he waits until Labor Day, so this might not be consecutive or timely, but he ultimately decides not to run.
Wow. So who's in the 5th slot that you think?
I don't know. This is kind of confusing.
I think they all could
be Gore. Look, right. Gore has said in every possible way that he does not want to run.
So in your world, that means you expect Rudy to get in some form.
Sure.
More formal than he is now. He's kind of in, but a more formal entry of some form.
Even though there have been some, misgivings.
Right. And Hagel, you expect to do something. We're not going to say which party, which way he does it, but you expect him to put his name in for the national presidential campaign in some form.
I think it's been clear over the past month in the debate over Iraq that Hagel wants to be part of the mix.
Yeah, he's feeling the only way to do it is to stay a presidential candidate, even if it's potentially an independent, a Democratic running mate, whatever. Name in the mix is better than not name in the mix.
I think he wants to be part of the debate. I don't know that he necessarily wants to get down and dirty and sort of work in the technical aspects of a campaign.
Your list is good.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate your I'm
just going to put Gore there. I think Gingrich is ultimately going to run because he's going to see the Iowa caucus is ultimately winnable. My dividing line is here. These 3 I'm pretty confident don't run.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 I'm less confident. I think he tries it for a little while, and when he can't raise any money, he gets out by the Ames straw poll. That he's an Ames straw poll victim. Newt doesn't even get in until after the Ames straw poll, which will make him the flavor of the month for a little while. So I actually expect Newt to run.
Interesting.
But that was actually a good segment, John. Wow.
All right, there's the list, so wait for those announcements soon. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow on tomorrow's big show. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Chuck Todd. We'll see you next time on Hotline TV.